Hi you guys, this is Nicole from My Carolina Garden. I garden in Zone 8B in southeastern North Carolina. I really wanted to get into the topic of gardening for aesthetics. So how do we make things look as awesome as possible in the garden? Now we're going to keep in mind, everybody has different taste, everybody has a different style, and your garden should absolutely reflect that taste and style. You should be filling your garden with whatever brings you joy. It's whatever colors, plants, any sort of plant style, those types of things should fill your garden. But what are some of the guidelines that we follow or maybe should follow, think about, have in mind when we're putting our gardens together? That's the kind of stuff we're going to get into. The first thing I would like to talk about is color and how do we select certain colored things for our garden. Now this may not just be the color of the flowers, but maybe it's going to be the flower pots that we use or garden decor, statuary, anything like that. Well, if you've watched other videos of mine, you know that I am a big fan of putting complementary colors together. So complementary colors are, just for a little mini art lesson, the colors that are across from each other on the color wheel. So that is red and green, blue and orange, purple and yellow. Those colors are dynamic together. Another way of looking at it, besides just being directly across from each other on the color wheel as complementary colors, is we have warm colors like red, orange, and yellow, and then we have cool colors, which of course are the blue, green, and the purple. I like to do a combination of those things together, warm and cool or complementary. So an example of that can be seen throughout my entire blue boardwalk pathway area. I designed this garden to I love the blue stain on the boards, that's number one, but I really wanted to complement that cool blue color with a lot of warm toned plants all along it. So I have orange in blanket flowers, I have red and orange in hibiscus, I have caladium with its warm tones using the red and pink. So I have lots of ways that I'm using my flowers to complement, in this case, a major focal point in my garden. So color choice by way of complementary colors or the mix of warm and cool tones is a guideline that I like to use. Another great example of this color combination working out for me is with my blue hydrangea and the yellow evening primrose together. As you can see, the color combination is just awesome together. I mean, the colors pop and play off of each other so well. That was why I chose to put them together. Structuring your garden in terms of height is another guideline to keep in mind. So for example, I would put things that are taller to the back, things that are shorter to the front. Clearly, this one is obvious because you want to be able to see everything that you're planting inside of your garden. But the reason why, and in this case, I have a very contrasting example of my tall banana trees and then my short succulents. It's not always that obvious. Sometimes you're reading the tag on something and it's saying 12 to 18 inches tall, and that thing's going to be 14 to 19 inches tall, and it can get a little bit confusing at times. But as a general rule, keeping the taller things to the back, the lower things to the front, this is a great way to be able to see everything and just add in little pops where you can see you have holes where something can be filled in with something else glorious that you love. Over here in my rock garden is another great example of starting with things that are low to the ground in the front, like I have this ground cover verbena here, and things start to go up and get taller as we head to the back. So that's just another example of using height as a guideline. Yet another way to think about structure in your garden is to have anchor points. Anchor points could be a tree, it could be a fence line. It's a starting point, something that is the tallest or the biggest or something that can ground your garden to its space. That's a great way to start a flower bed. Let's use the fence line as an example here. We have the fence. I want to start creating a flower bed. I'm going to start working from the fence line out. If you have a tree in the middle of your yard, for example, and you want to start a flower bed there, I would start working my way around the tree, just deciding if the tree is going to be the center point or off to one side, and then having everything, you know, go out maybe in an oval shape or something like that. So using anchors to structure the garden is also another great guideline to follow. Now for me, yet another kind of anchor is these boulders that I'm sitting on one now, but I have a lot of boulders inside my rock garden, and that is also by design. So the boulders just keep everything really grounded. They're just excellent sources of texture in my garden, and everything else is meant to flow around them. My front peninsula garden is a great example of using a tree, in this case a magnolia tree, as the main anchor for the garden, and then everything else was built from there. So the main guidelines that I follow, just so we can review here, are color choices, using height as a guideline, and using anchors to start your flower beds or use them as a main focal point and build around them. So hopefully these guidelines are helpful to get you going on the gardening journey of gardening for aesthetic purposes and hoping that things just look as gorgeous as possible. Let's try to showcase all of our glorious goodies as best as we can. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the sweet comments and the great support I get, and happy planting.